The Superior Court of Fulton County in Atlanta met Simone with a familiar manufactured chill. The hallway was crowded with people clutching folders. Lawyers whispered near the wide, sunlit windows. The air was stale. It had been a warm October, but the building's heating was already cranked high. Judge Thompson, a woman in her late 50s with temples threaded with gray, reviewed the documents before her. All right, the parties have prepared a settlement agreement regarding the division of marital assets. Attorney Blake, representing Brandon Ashford, stood and extended a folder. Yes, Your Honor, my client Simone Hayes agrees to transfer all jointly acquired assets to her spouse. In exchange, she takes on the full obligation for the credit card and personal loans established in her name during the marriage. Judge Thompson frowned. That is a highly unusual condition. Ms. Hayes, do you understand that you are voluntarily assuming substantial debt obligations? Simone stood up. Her back was straight, her voice level. I do, Your Honor. It is my decision. The total sum of credit obligations is $12 million, Simone's attorney added. Across the room, Brandon smirked. The idiot is taking on the debt she racked up herself. The condo, the lake house, the luxury SUV, everything was his, and she could struggle to pay off the debt on her teacher's salary. Very well. The judge signed the papers. Settlement approved. The decision will take effect in 30 days. Brandon left first, immediately typing a message on his phone as he walked. It's done. Condo, lake house, all mine. The fool took the debt. A text came back from Chelsea, a string of enthusiastic emojis. His phone rang. Mom, what's the news, son? How did it go? Perfectly, Mom. She willingly forfeited the assets and hung the debt around her own neck. See there? Ms. Celeste Ashford's voice rang with triumph. And you were worried? I told you she was nothing but a low-class opportunist. She went after your money, and when it came down to it, she folded. You did the right thing, Brandon. Simone was the last to walk out. A fine, cool, misting rain fell outside. She pulled out her phone and sent a prepared message. Document signed, meeting tomorrow at 10 a.m. The cafe overlooking the Chattahoochee River was almost empty. It was a weekday, mid-morning. Simone ordered tea and took a seat by the window. Precisely at 10 a.m., a man in a dark suit appeared. Good morning, I'm Mr. Elias Stone, the notary public. He sat across from her and pulled out a stack of documents. Ms. Simone Hayes, a reminder. You assumed the rights to the inheritance 5 months ago. All the assets of your father, the Health Plus chain of wellness stores, are now completely transferred to you. There is only the matter of the letter remaining. Andrew asked me to deliver this personally. The envelope was thick, sealed with wax. Simone carefully broke the seal and unfolded the pages. Simone, my daughter, if you are reading this, I am already gone. Forgive me for not being able to protect you while I was alive. Your husband came to me 3 years ago. I had some old issues with the IRS. You know how things were back in the 90s. He somehow found out and threatened to leak the information if I interfered with your marriage. His mother had a hand in it too. Ms. Celeste Ashford compiled an entire file on you, calling and threatening you. She said you were a gold digger, that you were unworthy of her precious son. I panicked, but I spent all this time gathering information on him. I know about the mistress. They've been together for 3 years. I know about his debts and how he was siphoning money out of the family's accounts. All the documents are with my lawyer. The business is yours now. $45 million. That is a fair valuation. Be smarter than me, daughter. Love, Dad. Simone folded the letter. There is one more thing, the notary said, producing a tablet. Regarding the loans and credit cards you assumed during the divorce. Legally, you are now the sole debtor. However, the funds were spent for your ex-husband's purposes, primarily for his business ventures and other personal expenses. You understand what this means? Approach the court. With your new financial capabilities, recovering those funds will be highly achievable. Half an hour later, Lena, Simone's friend and a senior credit analyst at a major bank, walked into the cafe. She laid a folder on the table. All 3 loans are here. The documents show you took them out for condo repairs, a new car, and medical expenses. But factually, the money went into Brandon's shell companies and elsewhere. Look here, Lena pointed to a statement. Regular transfers to a certain Chelsea Pryor, between $100,000 and $150,000 monthly. Your ex was bankrolling his mistress with your credit. A man in jeans and a leather jacket entered. Simone, he nodded. It was Rico, a private investigator. Here's what we found. He fanned out a series of photographs. Brandon with a young blonde woman in expensive restaurants, on resort vacations, and outside a luxurious apartment complex in Buckhead. He's renting a 3-bedroom for $70,000 a month. It's under a shell name and he pays in cash. The lady doesn't work. She lives off his support. His last gift to her? Diamond earrings for $300,000, bought on credit. Naturally, his business is barely breathing. Debts are growing, and suppliers are refusing to work without upfront payment. He's 2 months behind on payroll. Without a massive cash injection, he won't last another quarter. And Ms. Celeste, the mother, is fully aware of everything. She covered for her son, lying to you about his business trips. I have the text messages. She advised him on where to take the mistress so you wouldn't run into them. She even booked the spa retreat for Chelsea. Simone leaned back in her chair. I'm filing a motion tomorrow, a civil suit to recover the funds from the loans. All the payments went to his business accounts. That is documented proof. Under the family code, debts incurred for one spouse's personal use without the consent of the other must be repaid by that spouse. Ouch. Harsh, Lena murmured. Fair, Simone corrected. The upscale lounge and steakhouse, the Metropolitan Grill, was loud and crowded. Brandon took a table by the window and ordered champagne. To our new life, he toasted, clinking his glass with Chelsea's. And to our love, she glowed. Ms. Celeste sat beside them, observing the couple with a look of smug satisfaction. Now we can really live, she announced. Finally, a normal girl next to you, not that simpleton. Always whining, always complaining, it's too expensive, it's not right. And the way she decorated that condo, it was awful, pure low-rent taste. Mom, that's enough. Enough of what? I'm speaking the truth. Darling Chelsea, when you move in, the condo needs an immediate renovation. Throw out all that tacky junk. I've already contacted a designer. Chelsea perked up. We'll do a full modern remodel and sell that dreary lake house. It's totally dated, isn't it? Smart girl, Celeste approved. Unlike Simone, who put up vegetable gardens there. So embarrassing for the neighbors. Brandon paid the bill without looking, leaving a generous tip. The next morning started with a persistent phone call. Brandon reluctantly answered. Mr. Ashford, Legal Department, Chase Bank. A notice of suit has been filed against you. What notice? Your former spouse has filed a claim for the recovery of $12 million. The loan funds were used for your personal expenses without her consent. That's ridiculous. What nonsense is this? The court date is set for 2 weeks from now. I recommend you retain counsel. Calls followed from Bank of America, then Wells Fargo. All 3 banks were joining the proceeding as third-party witnesses. Attorney Davis reviewed the documents, removing his glasses. Your situation is grim, Mr. Ashford. All transfers from the loan accounts went directly into your business entities. Here are the payments to suppliers, here are the payroll disbursements, and here are the regular cash withdrawals. And this, he pointed to a statement, these are transfers to third parties. A Ms. Pryor received monthly payments. That's none of your business. As you wish, but the court will consider it. Under the family code, you must compensate these expenses, especially given that you were awarded all the marital assets in the divorce. I don't have that kind of money. Then prepare for asset seizure. At the condo, Brandon found his mother in hysterics. Miss Celeste was pacing the room, wringing her hands. I knew it. I knew that little snake was up to something. She took the debt specifically so she could bleed you dry later. Mom, please, be quiet. Quiet? How can I be quiet? She's going to ruin you. You'll lose everything. Go to her, beg, threaten, do whatever you have to. And what am I supposed to say? Tell her to drop the suit. Tell her you'll give her the condo back. Promise anything, and then later we'll deal with it. Brandon clutched his head. groveling before his ex-wife. He had no choice. If the court ordered him to pay, he would have to sell everything. "Fine, I'll go see her." "That's right." Celeste pressed her hand to her chest. "Show her you're a man. Force her to back down." The tension between mother and son reached its breaking point. Brandon prepared for the most humiliating conversation of his life, completely unaware that this was only the beginning of the reckoning. The one-bedroom rental in Midtown felt foreign to Brandon, smelling of old linoleum, the former tenant's cigarette smoke, and cheap air freshener. Simone opened the door, holding her robe closed. She looked calm, even serene, as if she had been waiting for his visit. In the cramped kitchen with peeling wallpaper, Brandon sat down on a wobbly stool that protested under his weight. Simone slowly brewed tea, giving him time to speak. "You set this whole thing up. You purposely took on the debt just to blackmail me later." She sat opposite him, cupping the warm mug in her hands. "Brandon, we signed a settlement. You got the assets. I took the liability. It's all legal. You're a businessman. You should have read the documents carefully. You tricked me. Remember when I asked you to review the papers and you just waved me off? Why bother? Blake will handle it. Speaking of which, how's your lawyer? Does he still consider himself a genius of jurisprudence?" Brandon ignored the jab. "Where did you get the money for high-powered lawyers? A teacher's salary doesn't cover that." "That is not your concern. But the fact that you used loans in my name to support your mistress is a very interesting topic for the court. $12 million, just so you know." His face contorted. He stood so abruptly the stool crashed over. "You..." He stepped toward her, raising his hand. Simone snatched up a bread knife, holding it defensively. "Don't even think about it. I'm recording everything." Brandon saw the red light blinking on the small voice recorder on the table and slowly lowered his hand. "You've gotten smart," he sneered. "Life is an excellent teacher. Now get out and pass this message to your mother. If she calls again with threats, I will file a police report. By the way, I now know how she blackmailed my father and how she covered up your cheating." He backed toward the door. "This isn't over." "Agreed. It's only the beginning." That evening, Ms. Celeste launched a phone assault. Simone put the call on speaker and calmly washed dishes, listening to her former mother-in-law's tone shift from syrupy pleading to outright threats. "Sweetie, darling, let's resolve this amicably. We were family." "Were," Simone emphasized the past tense. "I know you're hurt, but think about me. I'm an elderly woman. Where am I supposed to go?" "Ms. Ashford, you own a condo in Tampa, and your sister, Yvonne, lives nearby. Don't exaggerate your troubles." A pause, then Celeste's voice turned shrill. "You low-class gutter snipe! I'll crush you! I have connections everywhere!" "Everywhere?" Simone smiled. "Even at the IRS? It will be fascinating for them to find out how you helped your son siphon money. Oh, I hope you rot in hell, you venomous snake!" Simone pressed "Save recording" and blocked the number. Chelsea packed with the efficiency of an eviction crew. In the bedroom of the upscale Buckhead apartment, she systematically folded 3 years' worth of gifts into a suitcase. Dresses, jewelry, cosmetics. "Chelsea, wait! These are just temporary difficulties." She turned, and Brandon finally saw the cold calculation in her eyes. "Temporary? You lied for 3 years, pretending to be a successful businessman when you were living off your wife's credit. You know what the funniest part is? I suspected, but I thought you'd divorce her, marry me, and everything would be fine." Ms. Celeste materialized in the doorway, her face distorted with panic. "Chelsea, honey, don't leave. Brandon will fix everything. We love you like family." "Love doesn't pay the bills, and it certainly won't buy an apartment." Chelsea snapped the suitcase shut. "By the way, your precious condo will soon be seized for debt. Your ex-wife will win her $12 million in court, and the U.S. Marshals will seal everything up. So, enjoy it while you can. But I'm moving out early. I don't want to end up homeless with you and your mother." "But where will we go?" Celeste wailed. "That," Chelsea winked, "is, as a wise woman once said, not my problem." She wheeled the suitcase out the door. Mother and son were left alone in the emptying apartment. "See?" Celeste shrieked. "You let a girl like that slip away. Beautiful, from a good family." "Mom, her father is a plumber from North Carolina. At least she wasn't a low-class girl from the sticks like your ex." 3 months later, when the court issued the judgment to recover the debt, the marshals arrived. Simone had shown a sliver of mercy, warning Brandon the day before so he could pack personal items. 2 burly men and a thin woman with a folder, who looked like a strict math teacher, inventoried the assets. Ms. Celeste tried to save something. "This is my china set, a gift for my anniversary." "Do you have documentation?" the woman asked dryly. "Documentation for a gift? Then we inventory it." By evening, the condo resembled a theater set after the final performance. Bare walls, marks where pictures had hung, indentations from furniture. Brandon sat on the floor in the foyer. Celeste ranted, "Look what you've done to me. Now I have to go live with Yvonne. She hates me. She's always been jealous." Attempts to sell the business resembled an absurd comedy. Prospective buyers came to the empty Ashford construction office, flipped through the documents, and inevitably refused. "This isn't a business, it's a black hole," one candidate summarized. "It's easier to start a new one." "But the client base." Brandon desperately pointed to the contact folder. "Half of them are on the IRS blacklist, and the other half are your debtors. No thank you." All the participants in the drama gathered in the conference room of the law firm Justice and Partners. Simone looked composed, professional. Brandon looked haggard, aged 10 years. Ms. Celeste sat in the corner, radiating righteous anger. Attorney Davis made one last attempt at compromise. "My client is prepared to offer installment payments, 5 years of equal payments." "I'm afraid not." Simone shook her head. "The court order is for immediate recovery." At this, Brandon couldn't take it anymore. He stood, starting to fall to his knees, but Simone stopped him with a gesture. "No theatrics, Brandon. It won't help." "Have you no conscience?" Celeste shrieked. "We'll be on the streets." "You have a condo, Ms. Ashford, and your colonel husband's substantial pension. Do not overstate your case." "Oh, I will remember this." "You've already said that, on a recording, by the way." Simone turned to her lawyer. "I have audio recordings of the threats. I can submit them as evidence." Celeste's mouth snapped shut like a fish out of water. The investigation into the fraud proceeded methodically. Detective Miller, a man with a kind face and sharp eyes, methodically laid out the evidence. 2 forged signatures. The forensic analysis is conclusive. Plus, your ex-wife's alibi. She was hospitalized with a threatened miscarriage. Maybe she signed them later, after she was released? Brandon weakly attempted to defend himself. "Don't make me laugh. By the way, about your mother. We looked into her involvement. There's no direct criminal evidence, but the fact that she actively helped conceal your schemes is unfavorable, though not criminally punishable." The court ordered a travel restriction. Brandon avoided jail time only due to his lack of prior convictions. The news of the verdict spread through Atlanta like a wildfire. Former partners distanced themselves. "Ashford? I barely knew him. We crossed paths a couple of times, that's all." His former secretary, who now worked for a competitor, happily told her colleagues, "I told him it wasn't right to cheat on his wife. Then Celeste Ashford flew at me, shouting, 'Mind your own business!' Well, they got what they deserved." The visit to the detention center took place behind glass. Brandon had been arrested after trying to sell his seized luxury SUV. Ms. Celeste pressed the phone tube to her ear. "Look what you've done to me. Yvonne is throwing me out. She says she won't live with a criminal's mother." "Mom, I'm not a criminal yet. There will be a trial." "What's the difference? Everyone already knows. People point at me in the grocery store." She slammed the phone down and ran, never returning for another visit. Simone came once. She sat calmly and picked up the phone. "I have one thing to say. I forgive you." "Are you mocking me?" "No. I forgive you for myself, to let go of the past. But it doesn't negate the consequences of your actions. And you know, your mother played an equally large role in all of this. If she hadn't covered for you, lied to me, and blackmailed my father, maybe things would be different. Get out. I can't stand to look at you. Goodbye, Brandon. They never saw each other again. The trial took place in the same building where they had finalized their divorce a year earlier. The judge overseeing the case was again Judge Thompson. Simone gave her testimony calmly and clearly. Her voice wavered only when she spoke about the loss of their child. I was 7 months along. The stress caused a life-threatening complication. I found out about the affair. I saw them together by chance. I couldn't handle it, and I ended up in the hospital. We couldn't save the baby. Silence fell over the courtroom. A woman in the gallery pulled out a tissue. Did Ms. Ashford know about your pregnancy? Yes, I told her myself, hoping for support. She told me, you should have had the baby in the first year, not waited so long. And then she continued to cover up her son's cheating. Ms. Celeste, in the back row, loudly sobbed, whether from shame or for show. The verdict: 3 years probation, full compensation for damages. The judge, reading the decision, allowed herself a final remark. The case of Hayes versus Ashford will enter textbooks as an example of legal literacy and the ability to defend one's interests. The court cannot fail to note the poise and dignity of the victim. Ms. Celeste ran out of the courtroom screaming, "Bribery! Everyone was bribed." Journalists waited for Simone outside. Was this revenge against your ex-husband? No, she smiled. This was protection. I simply used the law. And by the way, ladies, she addressed the cameras, learn to read your documents and never sign anything without looking, even if your loved one asks you to. What are your plans now? To live and to develop my father's business. I already have ideas for expanding the chain. And you know what? I plan to open free legal clinics for women at my stores so no one else falls into this situation. Simone Hayes' story became a textbook example of female agency and legal awareness. And the phrase, "read the documents," became a local meme for a time. Enterprising Atlanta business owners even printed it on T-shirts. 3 months after the trial, Simone stepped into the main office of the Health Plus chain. The spacious room on Peachtree Street still held the spirit of her father. Old-fashioned furniture from the 90s, a large rubber plant in the corner, the founder's portrait on the wall. "Ms. Hayes," said Mr. George, the head accountant, standing up, "we are all very glad. Andrew would be pleased that the company is remaining in the family." The notary laid out documents. Simone sat down and pulled out her reading glasses. Now she read everything, even the instructions on a microwave. "No need to rush," Mr. Stone smiled. She read every line, asking questions. The employees exchanged approving glances. The new owner had learned the lessons of the past. The first management meeting was a week later. Simone stood before the staff. "I understand your concerns. I promise. No revolutions. If anyone has ideas, I'm listening." Terrell, a young marketer, raised his hand. "Will there be Christmas bonuses? My wife is already looking at a new coat." The room chuckled. "Yes, if we meet the quota, there will be enough. Even for a designer coat. A decent one, not one of those cheap knockoffs." "Well, those are always the ones she looks at," Terrell conceded. "Then all the better, we'll save money," Simone countered. They raised sales by 25% in 1 quarter. It was a fight. Competitors tried to poach suppliers. The IRS staged an unscheduled audit, but Simone held firm. In the evening, in her office, she opened a bottle of sparkling cider. Lena sat across from her. "So, Director, how's it going?" "It's hard, but I'll manage. You know, I want to organize free legal and psychological consultations for women at the stores. Charity work." "Will it turn a profit?" "Not everything is measured in money. It's in memory of my mother, and so other women don't end up in my situation." 6 months later, consulting centers opened at 3 of the chain stores. No grand presentations, just an announcement and word of mouth. Meanwhile, Brandon Ashford was unloading trucks at a wholesale warehouse in the industrial part of town. $25,000 a year, with $5,000 going to rent a bunk in the shared dorm. The work was dirty, heavy. His back ached by evening and his hands were stiff. I was a CEO, now I'm a laborer. The thought spun in his head under the monotonous thud of boxes. He had traded his luxury SUV for a pallet jack. "Ashford, don't slack off!" yelled Sal, the shift supervisor. "2 more trucks before the end of the shift." The dorm was worse than boot camp. A room for 6, a perpetual line for the single shower. Neighbors, migrant workers, alcoholics, and other failures even stole spaghetti from the shared refrigerator. "Hey, Professor," called his neighbor Gus, holding out a plastic cup of cheap vodka. "Want some?" "I do." They drank in silence. Gus, a former engineer, understood without words. "I saw your ex on the news. She's living well." "I saw." "Why are you quiet? Tell me how it went down." Brandon poured another drink. "What's there to tell? I was a fool." Ms. Celeste was settling in with her sister Yvonne amidst constant arguments. The tea wasn't strong enough, the TV was too loud, Yvonne's daughter was undisciplined. "I'm not staying forever," she shouted after one fight. "Brandon will get back on his feet." "How much longer?" Yvonne exploded. "Your Brandon is a warehouse grunt. What feet?" "It's temporary. He was a businessman." "Now he's in a flophouse. Open your eyes." Calls to her son became torture. He answered monosyllabically and avoided visits. "Are you ashamed of your mother?" "Mom, I'm tired. Later." "When is later? I'm your mother." If you were a good mother, you wouldn't have meddled in my life, he thought, but kept silent. Chelsea had found a predictable landing spot. Mr. Wallace, the owner of Southern Estates Development, was married but generous. An apartment downtown, a monthly allowance, and promises of divorce. "Honey, your wife called again," she complained over dinner at a chic restaurant. "Don't answer. I'll deal with it." "You've been dealing with it for a year, kitten. Don't push. I'll close the school district tender, and then I'll file for divorce." Chelsea smiled, but she was already looking for alternatives. Wallace was 50, his stomach was growing, and he was getting worse in bed. Time to find the next one. The high school reunion was held at the Omni Hotel ballroom. Simone didn't want to go, but Lena insisted. "Stop hiding. Let everyone see you. You're a success story." About 50 people gathered in the room. Simone was greeted with applause. "We heard about your clinics. My neighbor went. You're so brave. I couldn't have done it." A tall man with early graying hair stood at the bar. "Dmitry Orlov," she recognized him. "Hey, Simone. Long time no see." They had been in parallel classes. He was one of the quiet, straight-A students. She was a C average kid. Now he was Dr. Marcus Graham, an orthopedic trauma surgeon at the county hospital. They danced to a 90s pop song. It was cool on the terrace. Marcus draped his blazer over her shoulders. "I followed your story. You handled yourself well." "Thank you. Although it wasn't a heroic feat. I was just defending myself. You know, I had a crush on you in high school. I even wrote poems. Terrible ones, honestly. I didn't know. Your eyes are like 2 stars, your lips like rose petals. Can you imagine?" They both laughed. "Good thing you never showed me. I would have been mortified." "How about coffee sometime?" he offered. "No poems, I promise. Let's do it." A year later, Simone bought a 3-bedroom apartment in a new development on the waterfront. Not an elite unit, just a regular one, but with a view of the river. The business had stabilized. The consulting centers were now running at all the chain stores. In the morning, the kitchen smelled of pancakes. A girl about 12 years old sat at the table, glued to her phone. "Naomi, put the phone down. Breakfast." "Mom, just a minute. You won't believe this post." Simone had adopted Naomi through Child Protective Services. 6 months of background checks, paperwork, and committee meetings. The girl had been in foster care since her parents died when she was 5. Smart, sarcastic, and well-read. "Mom, Lena's dad says adopted kids are weird." "And what do you think? That Lena's dad is an idiot?" "Can I tell her that?" "You can, but politely. Say he's alternatively gifted." Simone snorted. "Eat your pancakes, smart girl." By that time, Brandon had hit rock bottom. After his shift, he'd stop at the liquor store, buy the cheapest bottle, sit in the dorm, and stare at the ceiling, thinking. I had a condo, a lake house, a luxury SUV. I had women, restaurants, respect. Now I have bedbugs, stale liquor fumes, and $25,000 a year. His phone rang. His mother. Hello? His voice was hoarse, drunk. You're drinking again, Celeste shrieked. I'm living with strangers because of you. That's your sister. What difference does it make? When are you going to take me back? Never, Mom. I live in a dorm room with 6 people. You wouldn't like it. Don't you dare talk to me like that. I gave birth to you. I raised you. If you were a good mother, you wouldn't have gotten involved in my life, he thought, but stayed silent. He hung up and poured another drink. In the next room, someone put on some old country music. Classic background noise for guys like him. Chelsea and Mr. Wallace's wedding was a spectacle at the Grand Hyatt Hotel. The bride wore a dress by a top New York designer. 300 guests. A celebrity singer. Kiss the bride! Wallace kissed his new wife, thinking about his problems with the IRS. Chelsea smiled for the cameras, calculating the value of the gifts. The status is back, she thought. Mrs. Wallace, sounds important. We'll see what happens next. That evening, Simone had dinner with Marcus at a cozy Italian spot downtown. How's the hospital? They brought in an 18-year-old. Car accident, severe fracture. The family is poor. They can't afford the surgery. How much do they need? I'm not asking for money, Simone. How much? $200,000, but I'll transfer it tomorrow from the consulting center's fund. We have a budget line for cases like this. He took her hand. Listen, we've been dating for a year. Maybe we should move in together? I know you have Naomi, and that's a big responsibility, but I'm ready. Are you ready for the fact that she loves K-pop and eats pizza for breakfast? I'll survive. I listened to grunge in high school. Seriously? I even had the long hair. My mom cried. They both laughed. Simone squeezed his hand. Let's try it. But honestly, if it doesn't work out, we split without drama. Deal. That night, she stood on the balcony, looking at the city lights. Naomi joined her in her anime print pajamas. Can't sleep. Thinking. Mom, are we moving? Maybe. Are you okay with that? Does Marcus have Wi-Fi? Yes, he does, and he's cool. Not like Lena's dad, who's always drunk. How do you know that? Mom, I'm 12, not 5. I see everything. Somewhere in the dorm, Brandon was finishing his second bottle, trying to drown out the thoughts of the past. Somewhere, Miss Celeste was complaining to her sister about ungrateful children. Somewhere, Chelsea was planning renovations in her new condo, unaware that the police had raided Wallace's offices. And Simone held her daughter and thought about the future. Not a perfect fairy tale future, just a normal human future that she had built herself. Mom, we're awesome, right? We're handling things, Naomi, and that's what matters. Simone Hayes' story traveled throughout the city, not as an example of revenge, but as a lesson in dignity. Women came to the consulting centers, learning to read documents and defend their rights. The main lesson was simple. You can rewrite your life. You just need to grab the pen firmly and read every line carefully. I'm really glad you're here and that I could share my story with you.